didn't see you there. Hello.
That was terrible.
Welcome to episode 2 of Mark's podcast. Myself, Dan. We have to my right, or whatever. I hate this damn mirror screen, by the way. But right next to me, I have our man on the inside man, if you will, Gerard Millette. And to our direct south, of course, we have the kid, the one and only Jacob McGovern.
On the bottom.
What's going on, boys?
Not much. Not a good day. Not a good day in the football world, but
yeah, I don't want to talk about that. That's why we're a wrestling podcast. We have nothing to do with the fucking sports. Fuck that shit.
Yeah, it's been pretty good for myself. I'm currently.
No one asked you. No one asked you.
I'm on season 10 of Degrassi, so currently in my rewatch again. It's been epic. Gotta love my Canadian soap operas.
Fucking Degrassi. He's a fucking child. See what we do with Gerard?
Wait, hold on. He lives in Phoenix, but he watches his Canadian soap operas.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer the other day too. It's glorious.
And you call me the Mountie. Hey, you know.
So that being said, who here watched Bad Blood last night?
I watched it, and I will say this was not one of the better Bad Bloods. The main event and the opening match stole the show. The main event, if I had to give it a rating, I'd give it about a 3.5. The two women's matches and the Finn Balor and Damian Priest matches brought the show down. If it wasn't for the other two, you're probably looking at a 3 for the whole show.
I would give about 3.5. I mean, granted, and I got J-Man's Legit, who's also part of the Rant and Rave podcast. Hey, what's up to J-Man? So J-Man made a point in their stream talking about that they thought the Cell match should not have gone on first. I'm in disagreement with that.
I will put you like this. When I was watching it last night, when you saw the ending of how the show ended and you saw who came out, that takes away from the rest of the show because now all the fans are looking for is The Rock for the rest of the whole show. Okay? To have CM Punk and Drew McIntyre start the show the way they did with the blood and stuff like that, the way they did. And, I had somebody talk to me today. He's like, oh, with the blood, they had to keep wiping his face. I was like, that made it look legit.
Yeah.
That didn't make it look
Well,
like they.
Well, it was legit. He busted. Drew McIntyre had 16 staples from that.
He got busted hard way.
Yes, but when you're complaining about they're wiping their face too much, no, that makes it look more legit. Instead of having to take the blade 13 times and keep going like this, Abdullah the Butcher stuff. Yeah, it comes across better that way. And
okay,
the way
that so now you like the blood?
Listen, only when it's done the right way. And like I said, so the match ended last night. I'm watching, and it pissed me off because I'm watching CM Punk wrap the chain around his knee pad. I'm watching the ref and Drew McIntyre watch CM Punk wrap the thing instead of the ref sitting in front of Drew McIntyre so McIntyre can't see what CM Punk is doing. They're both watching him wrap the. I'm like,
the refereeing was a big deal last night. I don't know if anybody's a UFC fan, but the refereeing was awful there last night, and it was maybe just TKO, but the refereeing was awful all the way around.
Hey, referee Jessica Carr is a fucking trooper. I love
absolutely.
Her.
She took the fucking.
I don't know what she did. I don't know.
I'm going to put you like this.
To have Nia Jax, come down on her like that. I don't know what Jess deserved to have that happen to her. But prayers for Ref Jess because that was.
I did not like the way she went about doing it because guess what? I was able to call it as it was happening, being that I is one, and to watch stuff like that, to where it doesn't come across as organic to me sometimes. And when I said last week that kayfabe killed the wrestling business, that stupid microphone the referees wear in their ears killed the referee.
We talked about that. And
I don't know what that's all about. That's so weird.
Well, even worse is this fucking ref cam. You got Rhea Ripley saying, I got to go clean some stuff up. And for the ref to go, well, you're owed that. Dude, shut the fuck. Your job is to be impartial. You're a fucking referee.
Yeah.
And this isn't Ring of Honor where you get a 20 count. Your job was to, look, if she wants to go out there and wail on Dominic, okay, so the ref takes a little bit longer, but you don't sit there and talk about that.
I'm going to tell you guys. So a couple weeks ago when I did my refereeing, and the guys were outside the ring using the barricades and they were on a chair hitting each other, right? So you got the crowd chanting 1, 2, 3. I can't be in the ring doing a 10 count if the guys outside are asking the fans to count to 10 on punches. So when you're watching these professionals be in the ring doing their slow-ass 10 counts, if the guys are outside the ring using anything other than each other, the ref should be outside the ring with them because you can't be doing the counts. If they're just beating on each other, now give them the 10 counts. But too many times you see some of these refs, how can you give a legitimate 10 count? And then one of them, I think it was Bailey, rolls back into the ring, goes around and comes back out and it stops the 10 count for the thing. I'm like, but wait a minute though. You've already let them outside beating each other and stuff like that when the crowd is counting to 10, but you're only on 6. It's like, you can't have that. And it pisses me off to where, because of that stupid microphone in their ear, it's dumbing down the referees. They don't have to learn their trade anymore. They don't have to be good at it. You can throw any jabroni in there to referee now because, hey, we're just going to tell you what to do through the microphone.
Well,
you don't have
one of the things you brought up recently when we had that original referee discussion, and I loved how you talked about it when you looked over at the ring announcer or whoever it was, and they put their pen in their mouth. You got 2 minutes to bring it home.
No, when you say pen to the boys, that basically says they know it's time to go home, which means they know they got to start working into that finish. Okay. When I'm doing it, that's the only part of the match I want to know, unless they need me to know anything else.
Yeah, and they got that stupid. So now both of their ears are taken up. You got one, that clear ass earpiece, and then you got that fucking black camera on the side of his ear.
Well,
again,
I don't know what the point of the fucking camera is in the first place, because
they're trying to change things up. They want to make it more interactive.
Yeah, but it's like I thought they just had they just had the ring post cams, recently, like they would show from the ring post. They had that angle, and it's like, that's fine, just keep doing that. We don't need to see the referee's perspective, really, because.
And like when I was talking about the thing with the referee in the CM Punk match, him wrapping the chain around, but to have both the referee and Drew McIntyre watch him wrap the chain around, it took him about a minute to wrap around, and you got these two guys over there sitting there watching him do it. Referee block. The ref should at least block Drew McIntyre's view, so he didn't have a clear shot.
No different than the referee should be over there trying to, he took too long. I think it was a botch as far as the Rhea Ripley match. He clearly sees the Tejano bomb, which he's not supposed to see the Tejano bomb. It's supposed to be, and that's why she threw her on to fucking pin her. What the fuck is going on here?
The Bailey and the Nia Jax match, I think, was full of botches, but they covered up a good amount of the botches. And in my mind, when Tiffany Stratton came down, I thought, let her get it. Let her take it. Let her take it. I'm like, no, they're not going to let her take it. I'm like, Jesus, let her just take it.
Yeah.
I just don't see the benefit at all in, first of all, in Nia Jax in general, but just the benefit in trying to drag out this whole feud between Nia and Tiffy as if that's something
I'll give Nia Jax this. You know what? She is 100% better than she was before. I'll give her, and I'm not going to sit here.
Dude, that's like shitting on the sidewalk and then fucking, then shitting like in the bathroom afterwards. Well, it's like, well, at least she's not shitting on the sidewalk anymore.
She's actually gotten over better as a monster. I think that the Dominator, whatever the fuck the Annihilator, whatever her finisher is now, it's better suited to her. And she's a bitch, and I like that. I like that she's being a bitch, and again, we know this is a transition until Tiffany Stratton gets that belt. We know it's going to happen. It's only a matter of time.
Can we talk about how great Chelsea Green is, though? I don't know. I feel
as a comedy character.
Put it this way: the problem with what I saw Friday night, right? So we can carry this over to last night.
Yeah.
You had Michin go into the dumpster, come out of the dumpster, and nothing's on her. Chelsea Green gets put into the dumpster. She comes up. Everything's on her. It's like, you can't, how does one come out clean as a whistle? The other one comes out
because she's Chelsea Green.
The only way I think they can make this right is if they keep this going as a feud where it's like Coyote and Roadrunner style, where it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
well, you know what you can do.
Where Michin where Meechin
Chelsea-
paints a thing on the side of the hill and then she runs through it and then it go. You know what I'm saying? Chelsea
What you
Green
could
tries to
do
run
is-
through.
Have Chelsea go on a streak of winning because nobody wants to stay in the ring with her. She wins every match by countout because people go in the ring because she stinks. They just run out of the ring.
Well, she's actually a very talented wrestler. I don't,
Yeah.
it's always bothered me because Chelsea's damn good. It is kind of like her husband, Matt Cardona. I would love for him to come back. He's done a hell of a job on the Indies, being the king of the fucking Indies. What he's done in CZW, I mean, he's legitimately good. I know WWE has had interest in bringing him back. I don't know what his standing is with that. I don't know. I don't know, but
I think Cardona's issue is, I think money's part of it. I think money's an issue with that. I think that Cardona has a ceiling for himself that WWE has, that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think they see each other differently in this scenario, because I don't think Cardona can go to WWE right now and, even like he could be in the mid card, but I don't even think he'd be on
WWE has a Matt Cardona right now, though. They have a Matt Cardona. L.A. Knight.
It's not the same, but it's not the same character though. L.A. Knight is great. I love L.A. Knight. I loved him as Eli Drake. Eli Drake.
But what I'm saying is, though, unless you're going to have those two go against each other, you have the character.
Yeah.
So
I don't agree. I don't agree, and the reason why I say this is because Matt Cardona has added a little bit of an edge to himself, where LA Knight's he doesn't have that. He's a badass. I'll give him that, but he's that cross between The Rock and Steve Austin. He's not quite. I don't know. I wouldn't give him that. Like, I wouldn't put him in a hardcore match where you could put someone like a Matt Cardona in a hardcore match.
The thing is that with Matt Cardona, he's never gonna, at least to me, I don't know how other people feel, but for me, he's never gonna escape the guy who was in the wheelchair and was crying over Eve Torres.
He got done dirty. Let's be honest. He got fucked with that John Cena fucking.
He got pushed off the stage by Kane in a fucking wheelchair with like no.
And I want to remember the moment where it was him and Daniel Bryan at the time, but it was him, Daniel Bryan, and CM Punk. He was the United States champion. Punk was the WWE champion, and Bryan was the world heavyweight champion. All three of them are in the ring, and it was an indie lover's fucking dream to see these three guys who were internet favorites just fucking beloved.
Yep.
But we'll never get that again, and that was during the Vince era. So,
yeah. See, going back to Chelsea Green though, I think Chelsea Green, she actually said it in one of these interviews. She said that she's in the wrong era, and I totally agree. Like, I think Chelsea Green would have thrived back in the 08, 09 Divas era. Like, with that butterfly belt, it would have been I think she would have been the greatest. She would have been the greatest diva of all time.
I despised that butterfly belt.
Hey man, it gave us such greats as Piggy James and what else?
Layla
Cool. That's pretty much it.
They were mid as fuck. I mean, and the thing that kills me is that Michelle McCool has so much talent. I don't know.
Well, we know where her talent.
Undertaker certainly.
We know where her talent took her.
Yeah, Undertaker certainly thought she had a lot of talent.
Super flexible. She brought a dead man back to life.
That has to be part of it. I mean, you'd have to think. Now, listen. Now, I'm not gonna if you go back, if you look at pictures of Undertaker's previous wife, Sarah, compared to Michelle McCool, I mean, you gotta.
Is that the one with the big nose?
Yeah, I mean,
that's I remember.
He got a tattoo on his neck, bro, across his throat.
Well, it's funny because, and I'll tell you this. So the last time I actually got to talk with him, I was going through my divorce from my ex-wife, and both of our ex-wives had the same name. And I said, yeah. He goes, I can understand why. He goes, my first wife's name was the same. I was like, well. But when I told him what I had to pay and what he was saying, what he had to pay, he goes, who the hell was your attorney? I was like, me. And he's like, dude, I should have called you to represent me. So
now today's episode, though, let's get back to the episode. We got off the air last week. We were talking, and there was a big conversation about someone like Gunther, maybe even Hangman Page. would they be able to make it in the past? But this, in the same breath, would the guys from yesteryear be able to make it today?
Okay, I'm going to start this, and I'm hoping you guys hear me out when I say this, okay? You're going to like what I compiled for you guys. But I want you to pay attention as I'm saying it. Fair enough? These names I'm about to say: Andre the Giant, Adrian Adonis, Bam Bam Bigelow, Big Boss Man, Big John Studd, Bray Wyatt, Brian Pillman, Brody Lee, Hercules, Jay Briscoe, Rick Rude, Rick McGraw, Bruiser Brody, Chris Adams, Junkyard Dog, Kerry, David, Mike, Chris Von Erich, Road Warrior Hawk, Chris Benoit, Chris Candido, Terry Gordy, Dr. Death Steve Williams, Eddie Gilbert, Eddie Guerrero, Gino Hernandez, Kurt Hennig, China, Sherry Martel, Miss Elizabeth, Ashley Massaro, Nancy Benoit, Owen Hart, Louis Spicoli, Umaga, Rosie, Yokozuna, and I'm even going to throw Joey Morella in there. All these names that I just said were all wrestlers who died under the age of 50. That lineup I just gave you would blow away AEW and TNA and would give WWE a run for their money today.
Wow.
I can't argue that.
You can't argue. That's 100% correct.
I can't. But where the fuck would they put them?
Let me ask you this. Give me
Anywhere.
one guy right now who would – listen, I bring it up all the time. Gino Hernandez as a talker today.
I'm glad you said it. I'm glad. I have a list myself. I have two separate lists. I have ones who would thrive today, and I have ones who would not. One of the first names I put down was Gino Hernandez. The second one right after that is Dr. D. Dave Schultz. And especially because if you look like what Gerard was about to say, if you just look at Gino Hernandez promos, it's just this guy was money. And I think had he lived, he probably would have been a horseman. And it definitely would have been great had he lived. But circumstances were the way they were. Dr. D. Dave Schultz. That goes without saying.
My nephew. Sorry, it's live. We're live.
Hello.
Hi.
What's up?
Come on.
But yeah, no, Dr. D, Dave Schultz. I mean, of course, if you go look at Dave Schultz promos, with the slight hint of racism that was there with the Dr. D, Dave Schultz promos.
Yeah.
But if you look at the way he carried himself, there's no one like that on the AEW roster or the WWE roster today. And the same thing goes with Gino.
See, I was going to go a different route because I knew that y'all were going to come with wrestlers, but in my head, I was thinking about the best talkers I've ever seen. And the first name that comes to mind who would survive in the monster hellstorm that is today is the beautiful, the talented, the super intelligent Bobby the Brain Heenan. You could put him on today, and he would just blow everybody away as far as being that mouthpiece.
The only thing about that, Dan, and I'm going to bring it up to you, some of the things he brought up back in his day, Archie Bunkerish, where today you're always going to have somebody say, oh, you can't say, because put it this way, he was wrestling's Archie Bunker. That's where he went. And he would bring it, and he would go right to the fine line and not cross it.
And here's why I say that he would be successful, because there's somebody else that's in AEW right now that I think when he decides to put up the boots will make an amazing manager. I don't think you're going to guess who I'm going to talk about, but he pushes a line every single time he comes out. He has done such good work. He's doing the best work he's done. Christian Cage.
Oh, yeah.
That man pushes it. Your father... It's a good thing that your father died, so he didn't have to see the just the shit he says.
Yeah, he's definitely if they play their cards right with him, he could be AEW's Paul Heyman if they really play their cards right with that, as far as manager goes. But
the one thing about Bobby is, think about some of the guys I mentioned. Bobby Heenan managed some of those guys, okay? And for him, when he was managing some of them, the mouthpiece that he was, Mr. Perfect. He was Mr. Perfect's mouthpiece. Okay. Yeah.
And before that, let's go back to the AEW. Before that, he was fucking Ray Stevens and Bockwinkel. He was their manager.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Look at some of the guys he's managed. And not only could he manage these guys could get in the ring and back up what he was talking about. How many guys could Christian talk for that could get in the ring and back up what he's talking about, though?
Because that's true. That's true.
That's the key when you talk about Heenan got help because his wrestlers sold him. Listen, the greatest thing he ever did was still when he was managing the Islanders. He came out with that fake leash. That was he not only came out with a fake leash, he came out with the dog catcher suit on, so he wouldn't get bit by the fake dog. He was walking. That is to come up with stuff like that and have it happen today, and the fans accept stuff like that today, and not be saying, "Oh, you can't be doing that." You know, we're gonna be basically woke on you for this. They don't. Fans today have got to understand. You have to have some kind of leeway with what's going on. And, you know, we know Piper doesn't get away with WrestleMania 6 in today's world. He never gets away with it.
It's just stupid. I mean, let's be honest. He was pushing boundaries, and that's one thing wrestling used to do, was push fucking boundaries. And I think that's okay. I think that if Bobby, like, okay, I equate wrestling to being like comedy. And in comedy, I hate now that they're trying to fucking, other than people like Dave Chappelle, because you can't censor Dave Chappelle. He's going to be Dave Chappelle. But you try to censor fucking wrestling, it's fucking bullshit. It is a fucking entertainment show. And wrestling goes along with the same ideas of comedy. If you can't take a fucking joke, if you can't take wrestling, fuck off. All right?
Well,
fuck off.
Let's get to the other side. Like, who would not fare well today? Number one at the top of my list is, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, the one and only New Jack. You know, I think, I think if you put New Jack in nowadays, I don't even think.
And to answer J-Man, Piper painted his entire body black. He did blackface.
Half of it. Half.
When he faced Bad News Brown at WrestleMania. And that's what Gerard's talking about. So he wouldn't be able to do that nowadays because it would have been, even though he wasn't being racist during his promo, he was saying it doesn't matter that I'm white and you're black because Bad News Brown was pushing that narrative. The only reason I'm not getting over is because I'm a black man and you're white. It was before its time.
Remember when Triple H impersonated The Rock? I mean, it's
the only problem I've ever had as far as a racial fucking, and I'm glad you brought up Triple H, but the only run I had a problem with as far as a racial division was when Triple H went against Booker T, and it wasn't even the lead up because it was hyper, it was under fucking cover racism. But that Triple H hit him with the pedigree, and it took fucking 15 minutes for him to cover him, and still Booker should have won that feud. Booker should have won.
Who dropped the N-word?
He wasn't being racist. He meant, when he said people like you, he meant WCW guys. That's what he meant the whole time.
Hey, wait. So the funny part about that is Vince dropped the N-bomb because I think Booker dropped the N-bomb, and they did it as a
Hulk Hogan. We coming for you.
And so I can't remember who said it first. Was it Booker that said it first, or was it Vince that said it first? But they both dropped an N-bomb on live television, and it was
Booker first. It was Booker first.
Yeah, Booker.
And speaking of great managers, Sherry Martel, if you watch that, I've watched it a million times, but Booker goes, fuck, like he knew what he just said. Sherry Martel is such a sweetheart, grabbed him and gave him a hug and a kiss on the cheek and said, it's okay. He did go to Hulk Hogan later that night, and Hulk Hogan goes, it's okay, brother. Just know that I'm a good one.
Man, see, here's the thing. Going off of managers, when was the last time we had a great female manager?
That's why I bring up Miss Elizabeth in this.
Yeah, it's
you have Sherry.
But we're talking about 1980s WWE in her prime, Elizabeth, right? Because what she did in WCW, love her to death, that was dog shit.
That's what I said. So when she first came in, when they were doing all this bidding for Savage and stuff like that, and he picks her.
Oh God,
that was money. But then after that, once she left WWE and went to WCW, gone. See you later, bye-bye. Now we get to Sherry, right? Now we get to Sherry. Another woman, she could talk. When she left being with Shawn Michaels, when they took away from Shawn Michaels, then they put it with DiBiase, and then she had to leave and go to WCW when she gets to Harlem Heat and stuff like that. Yeah,
let's not forget when she was with the Macho King. I mean,
Macho King.
She was a manager, though, unlike anybody of her time. She got in the ring, she got fucking physical, and she was beautiful. But when she took off those fucking heels, you better watch the fuck out because she's going flying.
I'll give you someone who doesn't get enough credit. Terry Reynolds with Gold Dust.
Oh, absolutely. Marlena, the
sitting at the ring smoking a cigar.
She was sex appeal for someone who was supposed to be androgynous. And Gold Dust, I'll never forget the line. They said, from his top of his gold head to the bottom of his tippy gold toes, he is all man. Like she was like, and this was after the whole Razor Ramon gimmick, because that Razor Ramon thing was supposed to be, the Roddy Piper match was not supposed to be Roddy. It was supposed to be Razor Ramon. But I don't know what the fuck happened. He left.
Talk about a great substitution. And the way they played,
legitimately broke his fucking hand.
Man, the whole and Goldust was the heel during that time, wasn't he? Like he was supposed to be the heel, and the whole problem was that he just had a crush on Razor Ramon. And nowadays, like that'd be Harold. Like Razor Ramon would be the heel. It's like why don't you just give Goldust a chance?
Well, you might. Hey, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised at Royal Rumble. You hear that Shattered Dreams production.
You think he's leaving AEW?
No, he re-signed. He re-signed a new deal. I'm pretty sure.
When?
I think just recently. I'm not really sure. Or I don't know.
I was gonna say if he didn't, because I didn't hear about it, but if he did, okay. But I'll tell you what, if he didn't, and if he wanted to do that one last year with his brother, because basically that's all he got left is one last good year. Yeah. And I mean,
with the performances he's been having, man. Say what you want. That bunkhouse ladder match or the bunkhouse match he had, that was pretty damn good for someone in.
I was in the building for that, and I'll tell you this right now. By being only 6 feet away most of the night, because I had the front row tickets there, what they had to do, they disappointed me because I saw too much of the Blade. And not just as a fan, but somebody who's smart to the business, there's been a lot of times when I see stuff like that, it throws me off when I can catch you doing it. And one of the guys was doing it so much, I'm like, and I'm yelling at him, put the damn blade away, put it away. He gets up and goes over and hands it to Dustin. I'm like, I didn't tell you to give it to the other guy. Okay.
Well, it's like when I went and saw AEW in Phoenix, like John Moxley versus Evil Uno. Yeah, great main event that was. Fucking $50 well spent. But John Moxley versus Evil Uno, and like literally everyone, there was a whole crowd waiting for the Blade.
You said that about Evil Uno, and I got no problem with them being the funny Dark Order. I thought that was good. I thought for what it was. But this is what kills me about Tony Khan, and I'm someone who does like AEW. You get rid of your only legitimate fucking athlete in that group in Stu Grayson, and Stu Grayson, for his size and his build, was a fucking animal. Like he just fucking did.
He's still with the company, pretty sure, but he's on.
He's doing indie shit. He's not. He was with the Righteous. He was working with, and I love I love the Righteous, but now he's gone off somewhere else, and they got fucking the Murder Hawk now rocking with him, which just makes no sense. I'm sorry.
Well, when has Lance Archer ever been on TV, bro? It's like they AEW does. I could go on AEW with the not those big guys, but
I'm gonna give you one. I'm gonna give you another one, Dan. That you're gonna. So we all know Ludwig Kaiser. You might not know who this is, youngin. Tell me how much Ludwig Kaiser reminds you of the Wonder Kid, Alex Wright.
Oh, I was saying during Bash in Berlin that Alex Wright should show up.
But he'd have to come out and dance. He'd have to be up there dancing.
I was like, just show him in the crowd. I'm like, come on, just show a little shot of Alex Wright in the crowd. It's like a few. There'd be a half of the like the crowd would have gone huge for that. I don't care what anyone says. Like the crowd would have fucking popped if they showed Alex Wright on the screen.
Oh my god! Oh, it was like the Atlanta crowd did last night for Goldberg.
I can't do Goldberg, man. I've tried. Like I will acknowledge the man.
That was terrible. Can we talk about that?
Just go. Fucking go. Fucking just.
Or why? So listen now. Okay, so here's the thing. I don't want to come across as a CM Punk guy or an FTR guy right now, but Goldberg, he ended Bret Hart's career, and you have Goldberg out there has these spots, and Bret Hart's, sitting on the shelf, going to Dave and Buster's, whining and crying, and Goldberg gets to have these money paydays. And, Bret Hart is bitter as hell. No, I'm just kidding. I really don't care about Goldberg all that much. I'm just joking. But Goldberg, I think I can get why they're doing Gunther and Goldberg, because Goldberg really wants that last match. I think that he only wants. I mean, someone out there besides him might want it. His son might want it. But it's just why are we putting poor Gunther? Why are we putting Gunther in this position?
I guess so. Look, if you have to assume that if they have a match that Gunther's going over, and that's great, but no one needs the Goldberg rub. I'm sorry. If they're looking to get his son in wrestling, whatever, put him in the fucking performance center.
That's the only way that this could work.
I bet you that's what it is right now, to where the kid gets involved somehow because he might already be in training. And to get him involved, you have him go against the father. But my thing about it is like this. Like I tell somebody, Gunther is the guy you love to hate. I told you, Killer Kowalski is who he reminds me of. But he eggs you like Piper on the microphone. But then once he gets into the ring and starts wrestling, you find yourself cheering for him just because of the brutality he brings to the match.
What did we talk about the other day? Him and Sheamus, that match. I mean, granted, you had Drew McIntyre to the rematch, but no, him and Sheamus will go down as by far one of the greatest, physical matches I've ever seen in my life.
It's going to go down as arguably the best matches of the 2020s, obviously. And
the only thing that I will say that compares to it was him against Ilya Dragunov in the no audience fucking era. Him and Ilya Dragunov, the first one. The second one was fine, but the first one, they beat the shit out of each other, and I felt like it was the real deal. Like I felt like they were really trying to kill each other.
Did you ever get to see Rugged Ronnie Garvin versus Greg Valentine?
Yeah, anything Greg Valentine did. Go back to Greg Valentine Piper in the very first dog collar match.
I'm saying they had their chest, literally, when I say busted open, they must have gave each other 20 chops across, and it was basically a back and forth chop fest.
Do you remember?
It reminded me of a lot of Masawa versus Kobashi. A lot of those matches. Like those two would beat the shit out of each other too.
Do you remember Daniel Bryan and the greatest? What was the greatest Royal Rumble ever? I know they were doing a crown jewel or something. His whole chest was like hamburger meat.
Well, see, here's the thing, man. I'll never talk shit about Daniel Bryan. It's great.
Daniel Pewtered the shit out of him.
The worst thing about that match, and the worst and sad thing about that match, is that's the only time we'll ever see Daniel Bryan and Kurt Angle in the ring together. That was the only time.
What I'm not liking is, so if we go back to the best of 7 style matches, we've had a great series right now, but it's never going to compare to the Chris Benoit Booker T best of 7 match that we had in WCW. That was just two completely differing styles, and you didn't know who was going to win. I have a pretty good idea who's going to win this one. I won't go any further than that, but I know who's going to win the next one. You got AJ Styles. They're throwing him in the mix with him. There's too many Chiefs and not enough Indians in this whole fucking program they got.
You can't say that anymore. No, I'm just kidding.
Shut the fuck
up. Hey, no. Yeah. Hey, it's too many Commanders now, or too many Guardians now.
Too many Washingtonians right now. And
listen, the owner of the Washington Redskins, former, should have called them the Washington Politicians, because you know what, they suck. Because that would have been, listen, talk about a great rib. I'm going to name my team the Politicians, because that's just the way it goes. But now I'm telling you guys, when we go back to the other thing, and I've mentioned the one thing. One of the guys I left off my list was Dick Murdoch. Dick Murdoch.
Dirty Dick.
Dick Murdoch. Didn't he team with Adrian?
I just remember him and Dusty, and they had that fucking jackass they used to bring around.
Oh, listen, some of the matches that guy would have, holy, and like the rugged Texan and stuff like that. It's like it seems like everybody who ever came from Texas just had no, like Stan Hansen, of course. It just seemed like I'm going to get in that ring and I'm going to beat you like I'm beating a bull, because it's like I want it to look so real. you're gonna bleed.
Someone like Stan Hansen was absolutely real. I'll never forget the interview in the AWA where he said, "I ain't got a skinny wife, I got a big fat wife and 5 kids, and I gotta feed them." And again, you pissed him off. He took the AWA belt, ran over it with his fucking truck, and left a dent in it because they pissed him off. Vern was good at that, but you don't have that anymore. Dirty Dick Murdoch, you don't have it. I mean, the closest thing I'd say you had Trevor Murdoch, who ended up going to
Dan, I was literally about to say that. I was about to say, like, because Trevor Murdoch's on my list. I was about to say, speaking of Murdoch, Trevor Murdoch back then, you would have been a world champion 10 times over.
Somebody who I think that, and I interviewed him before, who I think would have done excellent in any generation because he was so creative and so inventive. Homicidal, suicidal, genocidal. No one gives him the credit of what he could do in the ring, but Sabu was just fucking.
My dad texted me when I told him I was doing this podcast, and he's like, "Wait, is that your friend that interviewed Sabu?" And I'm like, "Yeah," because that's my dad's favorite of all time. But he's definitely someone in any era you would have gotten over like 100%.
The funny part about that is, and Dan, you'll hear all the stories later on. Is I got a guy I talk to who's actually good friends with Sabu, and he tells me all the time how
I can't speak. Okay, so I can't speak on him as far as his bookings and this and that, and what he did in other companies. What I can say about Sabu, and I'll tell anybody who wants to book him for an interview, very cordial, on time. I was running late the day that we had the interview, and he was completely understanding. Fuck you. But I started 30 minutes early, and we had technical issues. And you're the one that had the technical issues this time, damn it. So don't give me shit. But like I said, like Sabu was 100% nice guy. Rest in peace, Super Genie, who I think gave him an extra 3 years to his career, what she did. And then, she tragically lost her leg and then passed away after complications, I believe, from COVID. But she, like I said, Sabu, with what he learned, what he did with a chair, what he was able to do with a table, he did just not just high spots, but he could go in the ring. I will say one of the most underrated matches I've ever seen from Sabu was the One Night Stand pay-per-view, the second one. It was him against Rey Mysterio for the World Heavyweight title. It was a double knockout. The ending was trash.
Yeah, that ruins the whole match. What are you talking about?
But the match up to that point was amazing.
Now, sometimes for me, the finish is everything with a match. Sometimes, and I feel like that was an instance where it ruined everything. It was an ECW pay-per-view, and it ended in a fucking double countout or whatever it was.
How the fuck does an ECW pay-per-view end on a double countout?
Well, speaking of ECW, a lot. Gerard said it earlier. Like Louis Spicolli would have been one that would.
Fuck yeah,
yeah. Nowadays, he was definitely an underrated guy.
Hell of a, and you know what? He did
the
Death Valley Driver better than Tommy Dreamer.
I was going to bring up the two guys. They carried out the tables all the time. I'm trying to remember the names.
Dudley Boys.
Huh?
The Dudley Boys.
No, not the Dudley. No. There were two. Johnny, Rocco Rock.
Oh, Public Enemy.
Public Enemy.
They were on my list, and I'm like, those two guys,
they probably pissed JBL off today. They probably pissed JBL off today and end up in the same fate, honestly. To be honest.
But the problem is though, with there's certain guys I didn't want to bring up because I'm like, we know they wouldn't have lasted today because the product wouldn't allow them to last. They wouldn't have lasted anyway. Okay. So that's where I was like trying to draw the line. I'm like, I just didn't understand when I was looking into this, how many wrestlers, talented guys, actually passed away before they were 50. And, obviously, when I said Bruiser Brody, for all the young people who never got to see him work.
Yeah.
But he could have, I think Bruiser was one of those guys in any era he could have fit in.
Because he was so fucking believable. Like you believe that he was going to kill somebody in that ring. The matches with him and Abdullah the Butcher, my God! Like,
I'll put you like this: if to live vicariously, I swear Mick Foley lived his life as a continuation of Bruiser Brody.
This is the problem I had. This is the problem I had with Mick
as
Foley.
Cactus Jack, though.
Yes.
Only as Cactus Jack.
The problem I have with Mick Foley is, and I'm sure he's a wonderful, nice human being, other than being a liberal. I think he's a fantastic human being, but
Other than being a liberal.
his better years were in Japan in the deathmatch era, and his better years were in the original, like when he was in WCW, when he was a little less heavy as Cactus Jack. My father, when he saw Mankind for the first time, and he has that Tony Montana accent, but he looked at me and goes, "Mijo, you don't know who that is. That's Cactus Jack, mijo. That's Cactus Jack." And remember busting the rivalry he had with Surfer Sting, and him jumping off the apron and doing what he did to his body. I remember Arn Anderson saying, "You're gonna fucking die. Your career is gonna get cut in half." But he didn't give a fuck because he wanted to prove everybody that he could do it. He was in better shape back then, and he was legit without a mask and a gimmick. Cactus Jack was terrifying.
Right. Well, look at it like this. In his home video, look at the very first home video he ever puts out. He's on the roof of his house. There's 10 mattresses on the ground. Yeah. He jumps off the roof of his house on the mattresses. Now, anybody knows anything about a mattress, the springs,
no,
made to drop from 20 feet. This is not. I don't care how many of them you use. They're not made to drop from 20 feet onto.
All you hear is this guttural.
It's like, Mick, what are you doing? Now, another thing I'm going to bring up was it the Road Warriors versus the original scaffolding match? Who was in the original scaffolding match? I know the Road Warriors on one.
That was I thought it was a Midnight Express.
The one where they had to go up to the top of the scaffolding
and Jim Cornette blew out his knees.
Yes. Something like that doesn't go over today.
Well, I don't think it goes over after New Jack tried to kill Vic Grimes on the fucking scaffold. I don't think I ever want to do that again.
Bombs away.
I was in the building for the mass transit incident. I was there.
Oh, shit.
Yep. And when that kid got in, me and my buddy, as soon as he cut, I looked at him and said, "That's not supposed to happen. It's not supposed to." About 3 minutes later, the match is over. Paramedics are in the building and stuff like that. And that's what you get when you're not a trained wrestler, when you tell everybody you are. And then let me turn around and sue the company because they believed me. I would never put that on.
Sounds very fucked up. I have no sympathy for the God. I passed away, and I'm sorry that he passed away. But I have no sympathy for a guy who's going to go in there, and everybody's corroborated the same thing. He said he's going to do this in the business. He's going to do that. Da, da, da. He's never gotten color before, and for those who don't know what that means, it means he's never been cut before, as far as with a razor. And they said that he didn't use an X-Acto knife. He said he used half a scalpel that was attached to a piece of wood.
Well, and he asked New Jack to cut him, didn't he?
He said, "New Jack, will you give me some color?" Goes, "Oh yeah, I'll give you some color."
Yeah,
but see, the thing about that is this, okay? Was it a receipt on top of? Hey, kid,
I believe 100%. I believe 100%. Like, we're talking about New Jack, the same guy who said, "I tried to kill Vic Grimes." He goes, "Well, there's your receipt." He goes, "No, that ain't the receipt. That's the whole cash register. That's the whole motherfucking store."
You're talking about a guy who breathes cocaine like you and I breathe oxygen. So you're not talking about.
He doesn't do nothing anymore.
Oh yeah, no. Well, he's not breathing too much these days, but
actually, you know what? He can do all he wants now.
Yeah,
yeah. No,
and God bless, like I said, and I will never. I'm never going to talk ill of
I'm
New
never
Jack.
going to talk shit about New Jack.
I love it. He'll probably come back from the grave and kick my ass.
Yeah, it's like I love New Jack to death. So,
but when we talk about guys from the past and stuff like that, I want people to understand that it's not done. And like WWE, actually, believe it or not, from when you listen to them a lot lately, they're actually starting to incorporate the past. When they talk about, hey, this guy's done this guy's done that, they actually will bring a name out of the past. Even somebody, as long as it's somebody who hasn't totally screwed the company, but just went on their way. But to compare them and stuff like that, I think that a lot of times they get scared to compare because you have the whole library. But I think it's the way the person might have died. They don't want the person to go look up and say, WWE has the one problem. They want to dummy down the audience.
Yep.
And, don't insult my intelligence. Okay? Just don't do it.
Well,
You
and
have-
you still have the issue where they still won't, they still won't acknowledge Demolition and all, and that's because Demolition tried to sue them multiple
Bill
times.
80 might still he might still have the lawsuit open. I don't know.
Yeah, that's like for that concussion lawsuit. It's like they still
Well, no,
WWE is still petty, but they're not as petty as they used to be.
Bill 80 only joined that lawsuit because he was in a marketing lawsuit with Vince with Demolition. If Vince had given that's the only reason why he's not in the Hall of Fame right now. Him and Smash, not as the freaking Repo Man. Don't even bring it up.
Repo Man.
If him and
that is Tripp's favorite fucking wrestler. You will not talk ill of Repo Man.
Okay. If they could have worked on that when it came to the marketing and stuff like that, the trying to think of the word they use for his royalty checks, his royalties for that, because that was from Bill 80's talk. That was his gimmick. That was his design, and he didn't feel like he was properly paid for it. That's why they had to take. That's why Smash had to stop doing it. That's why Crush had to stop doing it, because Bill 80 came out with the thing and said, no, that was my gimmick. I want my royalties. He took him to court. And if they could now, with Hunter being the way he is, could we see this finally done just to give the man credit before anything happens to him while he's still alive? Yeah,
you also have to go back. You have to go back and think. Hunter's responsible for bringing back fucking the Ultimate Warrior. Hunter's responsible for having that talk with fucking CM Punk. Hunter,
Bruno Sammartino.
Exactly. For all the shit that Hunter gets about being a fucking asshole and not being able to play ball, he's the one who brings these guys back. Vince is the one, in my opinion, who had the fucking ego. How dare you go against me? I did that.
Well, and think about it. In his documentary, how many times did you hear him say the word business? I think every sentence he did it. It was best. It was what was best for business. What's best for business. What's best for business. Well, the good part about that, in some eyes, when you don't always know what's best for business, you get what you got now.
Yep.
The Attitude Era wrote itself. I don't think there ever was a script written down on anything for the Attitude Era. They just went out and did whatever they were going to do.
Because besides the Sable T-shirt spot, I feel like that was the only thing that was written down.
Listen, I keep going back and look at the Jacqueline one on the pay-per-view from Europe. If you've never seen it, go check it out.
That titty pops right the fuck out.
No. They took the whole shirt off. She was on top of the referee's shirt. She was on top of the referee, and whoever she was going against just ripped the shirt right off, and she was just hanging out live on the pay-per-view. She had no shirt to cover or nothing like that. Yeah,
so I'm remembering the one where Sable had the handprints for fucking paint on her. But that same one, Jacqueline's nipple popped right the fuck out. And I remember my dad goes, look.
I know the bikini story. No, but this one, she was actually wrestling Sable in a pay-per-view in Europe. And Tim White picked her up on her shoulders. Sable came over and went to go rip her. She ripped her hair, grabbed the shirt, and ripped the shirt off. She was wearing nothing. So the crowd got like 5 seconds of uninterrupted. Here you go.
What about the cat? The cat had this. Miss Kitty had the same shit. She took her.
That doesn't happen though without Jerry Lawler.
No.
Okay, I mean that's all. And you know what? Of course, let us get the one with nothing to do something like that. It's like, hey, they didn't. They were. Listen, what's smaller than a puppy? That's what that was. That's smaller than a puppy.
But again, that was a we've talked about it before, how far wrestling has pushed things in the negative way. Yes, for a man with testosterone watching, that's awesome for a guy to see. What I didn't like back then, and I hope they don't bring back, is they did to Trish Stratus, bark like a dog, all that. That even as a kid, that bothered me.
Dude, all that was.
Hey, to be fair, it didn't really bother Trish Stratus all that much.
She took it to the bank, bothered her right to the bank.
Yeah, it's like when she did that interview for the documentary, she seemed like she didn't really care all that much.
I'll put you like this. If you think about it, that was nothing more than a repeat of DiBiase. The only difference was you saw DiBiase give the people the money.
Yeah.
That's it. Now, if Vince told her to do that and then threw money at her in the same segment, is it offensive?
Yeah, because it makes her look like a whore.
That's what the whole thing was, though.
I know, but what I'm saying is when DiBiase did it, it was like, okay, here's what I'll say is the difference. When DiBiase did it, he was to see how much is your pride fucking worth. I got $500 here. I bet you'll fucking do anything for that $500.
Hey,
with her,
think about it like this: that kid that he kicked the ball away from, 40 years later now, almost. I would still like to know where that kid is.
That was funny as shit, though. The look on that kid's face. That was different. It was not. It wasn't meant to be personally degrading. It was a heel being a heel. On the other side, you have a man who's using and treating a woman like she's his fucking property. There's two different fucking spectrums.
Well, and it's like you could believe that like that shit was real back then because like, you know, you could believe that like that kid wasn't a plant, you know, otherwise, you know, compared to nowadays where fucking Braun Strowman pulled a random kid out of the audience, you know, when he was one of the wasn't the guy he won the kid he won the title with, like wasn't he one of the referees' kids or something?
No,
like
that? Some kind of independent kid or something like that. But
yeah,
what I was going to say is about that other thing is the fact of when you see a lot of these guys doing how they're doing it and to get away with it. When the thing about the kid Sean is how DiBiase said to him, here's a lesson in life, kid, you're going to learn. You don't get the job done. You don't get paid. He's telling a little 5-year-old kid. You don't get the job done. You don't get paid. And from what I was told on that segment at that building, they got such major heat. They actually had to keep DiBiase away for like a couple of weeks just because of the heat. I'm like, if you're getting that kind of major heat, that just means you're doing it.
And again, look at ECW. The franchise was a master of that. When he did the pit bull, when he had the fucking Gary Wolf, when he had the neck collar on, and he grabbed him by the neck collar and pulled him down, they had to sneak his ass out through the trunk of a car because.
Well, it's like when Dave Schultz was doing that promo where he's in his home and you know talking shit to his wife and like you know throwing SpaghettiOs at his kids and stuff. Like they had like the government, like the police like called Vince McMahon personally and it was like, hey, we have a warrant for Dr. D for child neglect and child abuse, and it's like,
you know, it was funny because
it was still real to them. Damn it!
I was doing a show one time in Rockville, Illinois. And Piper comes up to me and said, hey, kid, I need a favor. I'm like, what? I want to leave with Perfect, but we can't leave in the same car together. I'm like, okay, what do you need me to do? You're going to get in my car with me. You're going to drive me around the block. I'm going to jump out of my car and jump in with Perfect. Okay. Now, we leave the building. Piper got the towel over his head. Didn't work. Everybody said it was Piper. But sure enough, we did one round. We did a block around. He jumped out, jumped in. Those two guys took off. And, you know, it was things like that to where I say, nowadays, look at what happened the other day. You had Drew McIntyre and CM Punk standing at ringside with each other in the building. Okay? I want to know who the person was who took that picture. Or was it purposely leaked out? Because if it was purposely leaked out to get a response to basically saying, oh, look, these two really don't hate each other. Because McIntyre responded to this. Why can't we just go back to like up until the time the fans go into the building? They need to go back to the old school way of not letting fans know. And you know,
honestly, I'm with you on that. I think if that was someone who leaked it, I think they should be fired because like, that's
immediately.
Like, yeah, that's like the equivalent of like spoiling a TV show if you're working on it. Like you know what I'm saying? It's like
it's not the equivalent. It's the same exact fucking thing.
Yeah, it's like
I don't blame the wrestlers, but even this, and it's a little extreme, but I think Vern Gagne had the right idea because in Vern Gagne's era, he never let the fucking heels and the faces even go to the same hotel. And if you were seen as a heel associating with a face, you're fired.
Well,
Vern Gagne was serious about the business back then.
And it was kind of that way when in 2015, I think it was, when Rusev and Lana were doing that storyline where they were broken up or something. They were supposed to be broken up.
Yeah.
And then
like Dolph Ziggler. No, she was supposed to be in a relationship with Dolph Ziggler. She gets out of the fucking thing and she'll, hey, look at my engagement ring.
Yeah. And it's like, and then immediately they had to be like, well, you know, they reconciled off camera and this. It's like, there definitely needs to be. I don't know, for me, because when they come out and say, "Oh, kayfabe's still alive," or like, kayfabe's like, and people like there's two different sides of it. People want kayfabe to be alive, but then when when it's alive too much, then people are like, "Well, this is
let me time out because let me say this. This goes back to being independent contractors, right? I get that. If you're going to help these people to hold them to a fucking standard, then you need to put them on paper. They need to get health care. They need everything. They need to be under contract. And I don't mean independent. I mean, if you want them to hold a standard and you want them to keep kayfabe so that when you fire them for doing this stupid shit, then you have to have a reason for them to want to be that. So, and I understand the idea of well, this is our personal life. We want to share it. Okay, well, you know what? You work for me. You're not an independent contractor. You work for me, and I have a certain staple for you to do. And if you can't fucking accomplish that, go work somewhere else, and you go fuck.
Or just or don't post it under your Lana account. Don't post it under. You know what I'm saying? Like That's why
that's what I'm saying. How the fuck do you not? I mean, like
very easy. You're in the contract. You're in the contract to me. Yeah. Put it this way, just so you guys all know, every Major League Baseball player is an independent contractor just hired to that team. Every NFL player is an independent contractor hired to that team. The only difference is because it's a union, when they retire, they get something from Major League Baseball. They get something from the NFL. They get something from National Hockey League, something from the NBA. Okay? Now, if you can't talk about what you just said about hiring as employees without talking about, hey, should the professional wrestling industry become a union?
So we've talked about that, but let's go into detail here. We've been talking about wanting to get into that. Let's go.
Okay, now
if wrestling becomes a union, then wrestling becomes very different. I think.
Baseball, none of the four sports.
The whole thing changes. I think if it actually legitimately gets unionized, then the whole thing changes, because then they're going to start real investigations into you know what I'm saying. It's like,
is that a bad thing?
No, it's not a bad thing at all. But it's like, in the terms of what WWE's in terms of WWE, I don't think so.
Well, I'll put it like this: in WWE, I don't know if Tony Khan does it, but I know WWE does it. Okay, if you get hurt in the ring, you're covered.
Yep.
You're not like a Major League Baseball player. If you stub your toe at home, the fans got to still shell out your $40 million a year, even though you're not playing. WWE, you do the same thing at home. They don't owe you one penny to sit at home. But in Major League Baseball, you still get your whole contract. And my thing is, if you're going to talk about unionizing professional wrestling, okay, you have your lower scale. Okay, no wrestler will make less than this kind of money. Okay, no wrestler makes that kind of. So let's just say the scale is $200,000. Nobody makes less than that. You can make as much as you want, because in Major League Baseball, there's supposed to be a union, and nobody gets paid the same amount of money. They all got the. You can't make less than, I think it's $1.2 million this year, whatever it is. But you can go as high as you want. But then the other thing is, the teams take care of the spending and stuff like that. I would love to make $35 million a year at my job and not care about one of my expenses. And I don't know how many times you guys have ever heard these professional athletes come out and say, well, I need to make $30 million because I need to feed my family. I don't know what the frick your family's eating that you need $30 million a year, but maybe you need to tell them to change their eating habits, because but that's the reason why.
You forget they need to feed their family, their mistress's family, my grandmother, my third girlfriend. I got to pay my fucking alimony check for my.
Well, I was about to say, how many?
What's his name? The guy from the Jets there. The guy from the Jets who has like 14 kids. Cromartie, is that his name?
Yeah.
I think the guy from the Jets has like 14 kids. I can understand maybe why, but you know what? On the other hand, keep it in your freaking pants. You won't need to feed so many freaking kids.
Well, I didn't tell you to have 14 fucking kids. Get your shit together.
Who?
Well, it's just.
I didn't tell him to have 14 kids. Get your shit together, and he wouldn't have to spend that much money. Shit.
Well, it's just I think nowadays not a union necessarily, but I think WWE could come up with a system that gives these guys at least health insurance and like shit like that. Because as far as I know, I don't think WWE employees still don't have health insurance or like health care coverage or all that.
Well,
but it's like
they have an 80. From what I'm told, the employees of the company get like 80-20 split. If I'm right, you get like an 80-20 split, which most companies are what they offer, 80-20 split. And if you get an 80-20 split, that's something that's better than nothing. But as independent contractors, you're required to get your own health care. Now, a couple of them, as part of your contract, could actually get that, though. It's written into your contract, just like they get free flying. You put and the way you go about that is say, okay, for your job, I'm going to pay you $200,000 a year, but you're going to get your own health care. But if you go down to $175,000 a year, you don't have to worry about your health care. I'll take care of it. Yeah. Now, if they do that with these guys, as a wrestler, just like, hey, how many wrestlers end up broke after they retire? I don't need to. Why should I have to give money for you to go on a GoFundMe page and good when you were making good money as a professional wrestler? And now because you did stupid with your money, now
y'all gave me so much shit. Y'all gave me so much shit about liking AEW. Y'all gave me so much shit about it, but this is one of the reasons I like AEW because I have involved myself so much with learning and forums and trying to fucking learn about the insides and outsides. Not as far as Gerard has been, because I've never been behind the scenes, but I've wanted to learn about the inner workings of wrestling. And what I do like about AEW is 1, the schedule. 2, he lets them do their own bookings as far as outside other promotions and shit like that.
But 3, they don't even mention AEW though.
No, I get what you're saying, Gerard. I do. But what I'm saying is they get to keep their Twitches and their YouTubes and all their fucking other money.
And a lot of that is just how the new generation is, honestly, because you don't have a lot of these guys, a lot of people
but the thing is, Jacob, they can supplement that income somewhere, and Tony Khan is up their fucking dick about it.
No, but that's my point, because like a lot of people back in those days, like I'm surprised a lot of people just didn't die on the road, like falling asleep at the wheel, traveling through all these places.
You obviously didn't hear one of the names I mentioned. The last name I mentioned was a guy named Joey Morella.
Oh, Joey Morella, yeah.
That's how Morella died.
Yeah, it's like a lot of these guys nowadays, they do have limited schedules. Even WWE now still has a limited schedule.
They know they've gotten rid of the house shows and fucking WWE, and good, because look, if COVID taught us anything, people need fucking time off, And one thing, I go back again. We talked about it before I came on. We talked about Cowboy and Swerve Strickland and what they went through in their little back and forth feud, and I loved that feud, but it was after, I want to say, Samoa Joe and that they had that triple threat. Hangman went off to have his second kid. He got time off. He got to do that shit. Where in WWF, oh, you having a baby? Well, hopefully it doesn't fucking interfere with our time.
Well, here's the thing about that too. I'm hoping people understand to where, like when I was there, you had 10 days on, 3 days off, 10 days on, 3 days off. But these guys back then, you got paid a percentage of the gate. So guys back then wanted to be there because let's just say you had a $100,000 guaranteed downside. Okay. We'll just say 100 guaranteed downside. But if now you're going to house shows and you're getting 2% of every gate, you work 10 days in a row, you're getting 2%. Let's just say it's $2,000 a night. 10 days, that's $20,000 you're walking out the door with. After taxes, you're talking what? 13, 14 grand? That can put a lot of food on your table.
Well, and guys,
were they making that? Were they making that in the last 10 years under the Vince?
Well, and a lot of people have guaranteed contracts now.
Like, right. Now they got the guarantee. Like, so you come out with these 8, 9, 10, $15 million guaranteed contracts, and you sign a $5 billion deal to where you can say, okay, we can get rid of some of the house shows because they're only marginally profitable. Which, when you have guys under contracts now to where you don't have to pay them percentages of the gates, how is it now only marginally profitable when you can still, I know Back in the day, it would be a 90-10 split, 80-20 split, 70-30 split, depending on the building you were in. In case somebody's wondering what a 70-30, it's you make $100,000 at the show, WWE gets 70 grand, the building gets 30 grand. That's okay. When you're talking about stuff like that, you don't talk about those numbers anymore. Now it could just be a flat. The building says, hey, we're going to charge you 20 grand. Okay. And if you're making $500,000 at the show, that means you made 480 grand and you don't pay nobody nothing, because the TV deal you just signed, not only does it pay your wrestlers' salaries, it pays everybody to go to that show now. All you're doing is pocketing money now, because now you control all your costs every night. You control the cost.
Yeah, because your TVs are covering all that shit.
So to come out and say we're going to cancel because they're only marginally profitable, I don't buy that.
That's horse shit. They've got that set up with the TV deals.
Well, it's like when AEW is doing these buildings like half full, and people don't realize it's like when you rent out a building, you still have to make up for the tickets that you don't sell. Like, people don't get that.
Well,
it's like every time.
Someday I'm going to retire and I'm going to have a pension. And my guy who controls the pension every now and then comes out and says, 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing. Okay? Yeah. If you got a 50% full building, AEW wishes for a 50% full building. If you got a 50%
for real,
if you got a 50% full building, right? That you still you've made you said, hey, let's just say it's a 10,000 seat arena. You've already gone to that 10,000 seat. This is the card I'm going to do. We need to put 4,000 asses in this building for it to be profitable. I don't think WWE has a problem putting 8,000 in a 10,000 seat building. So they're profitable. When you're booking a 20,000 seat building and you're only putting 2,000 people in that building, there's no way in hell you're telling me it's profitable for you. You're not losing money. And if you just signed a $175 million a year contract, that could be your break-even point, because you're already overpaying. And
I do need to clarify something. Okay, we've talked about it before. I'm the one who likes AEW here and what have you. This is the problem I have with AEW. I do not like their booking. I do not like their philosophy on how they're doing wrestling. What
do you like about it?
Fuck you, Jacob. What I do like, I like the fucking wrestlers they have. I do. I love FTR. You know, for what the Young Bucks were in the beginning, I enjoyed the matches with the Young Bucks. I enjoy Proud and Powerful. I love Santana. I can't believe they split. I'm pretty bummed out about that, but I love
you were a fan.
Split, man.
You were a fan of the product before the product started getting in the way. Basically, what I mean by that is, okay, the product, the boys, when it first started and stuff like that, the boys who were in charge didn't throw their weight around so much because it was such a new company. They wanted everybody to change over and see what it was about. But now that they've been around for 5 years, the two knuckleheads that can't seem to get rid of and keep booking themselves into a championship match that they're not going to lose anyway, everybody knows they're the executive VPs, and they keep doing the same thing. It's rinse, wash, repeat with the Young Bucks. They are glorified independent contractors.
Absolutely, and that's what bothers me. So, and again, we've been talking about this whole idea of Shane going over there and him if he were to, again, fantasy booking, if he were to take over the book. You know, I enjoyed it when there was a time of Mr. Brody Lee. I thought that giving somebody like that an opportunity, fucking thank God. When Miro came over and letting him be fucking Miro as the best man. I loved that.
Just got his release from what I've heard. He just got released.
He's asking for his release. I loved Kip Sabian in the beginning. I even liked Kip Sabian with his box gimmick he had for a little bit there. You know, I love, you know, and I'll say it right now, the Butcher and the Blade is one of the most underused talents I've ever fucking seen. And if you see the Butcher and his the
Butcher's great, the Blade's all right.
Watching the shape that Butcher's gotten into and how subtly he changes his gimmick, like, he looks terrifying. I love Malachi Black, Brody King, and fucking Buddy Matthews. I love what they did with that cheerleader chick. I can't remember her name off the top of my head right now, but that they turned her into this goth witch. I love that gimmick on her. I like a lot of the stuff they got. And I've gone back. I'm not really a fan of Dr. Britt Baker right now, but I love Hikaru Shida. I love, and I know
you're naming a lot of shit that doesn't matter because Jack Perry is wrestling is wrestling Shibata at Wrestle Dream.
We'll see how that goes. I mean,
I don't
like
nothing you said matters. They don't care about the House of Black.
I know that. I know what you're saying, but I'm a guy from the generation that you watched when you were a kid. I had to live through the John Cena generation where I thought everything was trash. And this is going to show my age as far as like the ICW, YCW era. I used to watch a guy named Bruce Blitz. And I thought that,
God!
Come out to find out that guy
that's a name I haven't heard in a while.
That was a guy who didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. That was a guy who sat there and ran his mouth for fucking years and was full of shit. I was a fan of this. This was what I was a fan of back in the day, and I loved that idea. And I, as someone who had to suffer through the 10 years of Cena, granted, I think he's getting his due now, but as a guy who sat there for 10 years and waited for something better, I think that there is hope for AEW now still. I don't think it's going to take that long. You, my friend, are a jaded fuck, and I know that. You are king of the fucking old school, and I get it. You don't give a fuck. You missed the brother, and I get that. That's fine, but I'm going to
Whoa, wait a minute. Whoa, hold up. Let me tell you this, okay, brother.
Now what you going to do, Gerard?
Okay, let me tell you this, okay? Growing up in that era, when he switched, okay, I knew in 1991, Hogan wanted to turn. Vince didn't want him to turn in 1991.
That, but then he was in WCW and he came out to, he's American.
No, but remember one thing. And when he went there, Turner didn't want him to switch. He wanted Hogan he signed. Hogan was going to come out and switch. And all he was going to do and say, they were going to interview him. He wanted to do this thing with interview. Why'd you do it? Why'd you do it? I did it for the money.
You say that. You say that
Hogan
now.
Come out and did it like that. If Hogan
this is why I disagree. This is why I disagree with you. This is why. Because Hogan's even come out and said when they did the NWO gimmick, it was supposed to be Sting. Originally, it was going to be fucking Sting who turned over on everybody and blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't until the last minute where he goes, so what are you going to do? He called Bischoff over when he was doing Thunder in Paradise or fucking Muscle Santa or whatever the fucking cheap-ass straight-to-fucking videotape movie he was doing.
Hey, don't be talking shit about Muscles with Santa,
hey,
all right? That's
Hogan was going to, just so you know.
Santa with muscles, sorry.
Instead of supposed to do the switch. But because Sid was too dumb, Hogan couldn't do the switch. It wasn't supposed to be Sid that switched.
You will not talk about the master of the world.
Okay? Like it wasn't supposed to be Sid.
We're talking about a guy who said that he was going to be one of the drummers in Metallica, and that that he was going to be the lead role in The Wrestler. I mean, Hulk Hogan.
He played with Hendrix. That's why he came
played with Hendrix. He brought Simon Cowell to America. He said that too. There's a few. We just gotta go over one of these days, just like a list of Hulk Hogan's lies.
Is Hulk Hogan? God. And now he's found Jesus.
We don't have that much time. Okay, we don't have.
That'll be. You know what? That might end up being next week's episode.
Yeah, we'll do our top 3 favorite Hogan lies. How about that?
Well, hey, listen. Okay. I'll give him there's one he told the truth on. And the biggest one he ever told the truth on, he even admitted he couldn't wrestle worth a lick. But he could bring you down his story. He could take you for the ride in his story, I think, better than anybody else has ever done it. Yeah. And that's what his hook was. He couldn't wrestle. But I think story behind the
giant yellow diaper he would wear to the ring.
Listen, hey, I'll put you like this. None of us would take that. Hey, none of us would take his checks and give them back to him.
Oh, fuck no. Fuck no. But I'll admit that. And I'm not going to knock the guy for what he's accomplished. If you say wrestling and you remember Hulk Hogan, hey, that's part of the gimmick. It's part of the deal. You say wrestling back then, I say Ric Flair. Some people said Hulk Hogan. That was just what it was. Wrestling fans who were real wrestling fans liked Ric Flair, and wrestling fans who were into the fucking entertainment side liked the big yellow diaper.
My big thing back then is, okay, the heels that Hogan had to work with compared to the baby faces Ric Flair had to work with, I take the heels that Hogan had to go against over the baby face. that Flair had. Because Flair only went against one babyface back then. Hogan went against multiple heels. Multiple.
We're talking about that. Okay, we're talking about different things here because if you talk about the WWF back then, it was all for show and all this, and Vince could fork out the next. Oh, the dumpster man. Ooh, the evil clown. Ooh, the cable guy.
Wait, hold on. You're talking mid '90s. You're talking mid '90s when their product was worse than AEW's is.
But see, what you had.
I don't know. I
put
Bastion Booger up against Jungle Boy any of these days.
Hey, Bastion Booger versus Duke.
Bastion Booger.
Duke the jump to Drosy, right? Bastion Booger versus Duke. Hey,
I put Bastion Booger over Jungle Boy. I'd put Bastion Booger over Hangman Page.
Hey, you got to keep going down that road. You know what I'm going to bring out to you? The Duke of Dorchester, Pete Doherty, versus S.D. Jones. We want to.
You know what? But we need to. If we're going to talk about classic guys who deserve their due, we talked about it. I put him on the fucking thumbnail.
Savio Vega.
No, not Savio Vega, but that was one hell of a strap match with him and Steve Austin years ago.
Magnum TA.
Savio Vega's great.
The guy that I want to talk about, whose career was cut way too short, way too fast. A guy that I shaved my face for his fucking mustache this week.
Magnum TA.
Magnum motherfucking TA, who would have I think he would have outdrawn Hogan if he would have been allowed to continue his career. He would have outdrawn Flair. He had everything that all these guys. He had the charisma of Dusty Rhodes, but in ring, he was amazing. He got a belly to belly suplex over better than fucking the franchise did. He was damn good. Looked like Tom Selleck, wrestled like fucking Nature Boy. What a fucking talent, and how an accident changed everything in his life.
Yeah, that dark side of the ring is definitely one that's like where you just feel like, fuck, man. Like, what a missed opportunity.
I'll give you another one like that. Brutus Beefcake. Look at what the accident did for him. It turned him into a clown. Because before he had the accident, Brutus Beefcake was a great heel. Then he does the haircut, Then he does the accident. And when he did the accident and his face got destroyed, then he came back. He was never the same wrestler that he was. That knee, I don't think I saw his knee. Anybody use the knee the way they did until Triple H was, Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Well, yeah, and another guy you can argue for is Cody Rhodes. When Rey Mysterio knocked,
oh God, don't start with he's so full of shit. But if we're talking about another guy that really was fucked, Brian Pillman.
Yeah,
Brian Pillman, after his fucking ankle got fucked up, and he wanted, but some of that was his fault. Just like with Von Erich, he wanted to
Kerry Von Erich motorcycle.
Well, Kerry Von Erich fucked himself. He decided he was high on fucking painkillers.
I'm gonna go ride my motorcycle in the middle of the field while I'm fucked up.
And he started walking when he had the pins in there and just crushed his fucking foot. And he was never the same again because he had to get amputated. A lot of this stuff is, that's the problem with being a wrestler back then. These guys thought that they were literally indestructible. And in the case of Brian Pillman, I don't know. In the case of Brian Pillman, I think he just wanted to fucking get back to do what he loved doing.
If you say Tony Atlas, he grabbed my pecker one time.
And Tony
grabbed my pecker.
I was gonna go down that road, but he did. He grabbed my pecker. But Tony Atlas said it the best. Like he was giving an interview and he's just like, all these wrestlers, we have the same mentality. We just thought it would never end. It would never end, and that's pretty much how they think.
He never ended grabbing my pecker.
Listen,
he grabbed my pecker. It would never end.
They turned him into Prince Hakeem, otherwise known as Saba Simba. Okay. Yeah. I was begging him to come out and say the royal penis is clean, Your Highness. When he's he's talking about Saba Simba.
Hey,
when they came,
there was only one African dream, and that was
that was one man gang. Listen, he could dance though. He could do the dance and stuff like that. But there's another guy we don't mention. How about mentioning Slick, the Doctor Style?
I could not stand Slick, but you know what? If there wasn't a Slick, there would be no Prince Nana, and I truly believe that.
Another guy who's ripping off his gimmick from Coming to America.
Man,
how dare you? He is a real prince. Yes, he called me last week to see if I wanted to donate some money, but still.
Hey, if he's a prince, he should be donating money to you.
Another guy who I think would be great, like nowadays, and someone who I think is very underrated as far as managers go, is the Grand Wizard of Wrestling.
Fuck yes.
Yeah, the Grand Wizard of Wrestling. Like, if you go back and watch those promos with him,
Freddie
he was
Blassie. Fucking those three. Freddie Blassie, the Grand Wizard, and fucking
Captain Lou.
Dr. fucking Lou Albano, Mr. Mario himself.
Yeah, it's like those three guys.
The Rock and Wrestling connection does not happen with without Lou Albano. Let's be honest. It does not happen.
Well, Cyndi Lauper doesn't come to WWE without Lou Albano either. So
listen, and as much as I hate him as a manager, but I will give him his props as a man. The mouth of the South.
Oh, he was a pain in the ass, but damn, the motherfucker was. The wrestling themes back. We wouldn't have the Repo Man. We wouldn't have.
You wouldn't have Sexy Boy. Sexy Boy. You wouldn't have it. Come on, I know on your wedding night you were playing
the Wolfpack, bro. The Wolfpack, NWO, like a lot of those teams, you know.
We wouldn't have any of that shit, and on top of that, we would, and
All American Boys. We wouldn't have it.
We would still have American males, though, and God bless. But and after speaking of somebody who doesn't get their just due, and I don't understand how they're not in the Hall of Fame, Jim Johnson. How the fuck is he not in the Hall of Fame?
He screwed somebody the wrong way. That's all.
He definitely did something to someone. Like, I don't know. He must have done something to Stephanie. I don't know, because I would have thought when Triple H took over that Jim Johnson was coming back. I would have thought.
Like every fucking theme song sounds the same now. I don't fucking get it.
Yeah, well, listen, it's pretty weird. It's weird, the Jim Johnson situation, because he's a guy who doesn't really do many interviews.
Did you watch last night the entrances for Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns?
No, I heard about the Cody Rhodes entrance. I was eating dinner at the time, but I was eating some prime rib.
They had this Arkansas band play Cody Rhodes entrance music because they did it at a football game, and they had like 6 million views, 900,000 views of people watching them play Cody Rhodes entrance music at a football game. But then they had another band play Roman Reigns' entrance.
The Georgia choir.
That's where I enjoy that, because a lot of these bands and stuff like that, these kids don't go into it thinking, hey, I want to go to a wrestling show. But to have people say, hey, come and perform for us. That's an honor for these kids. That's an honor for these.
Well, I agree with that.
It's
but
a total
fucked
honor.
It up. They fucked it up, right?
Listen, I ain't saying they did it well. But just to be given
wrestling has more than one royal family. Wait for it. Wrestling has more than one royal family.
Yeah. Here's the problem, though. Okay.
I don't blame them. I blame whoever's in the fucking back on that fucking audio.
Listen, Randy Orton could come out to the same words. Because there's another guy we don't talk about, Cowboy Bob Orton.
Cowboy, I had hepatitis, and the Undertaker was going to beat my ass.
Bleeding in Undertaker's mouth. You have what?
Listen,
fucking dumbass.
When he was Ace with the cast, okay,
my man Ace here.
The other one I'm going to bring up that you guys want to go on, I'm hoping you remember him, Iron Mike Sharp.
Fuck, man, I don't know. Yeah. Again, if we don't have what was that? What was his school? Sharp.
Listen, I will tell you this about Iron Mike Sharp. No matter where we went to do a show, he was the first guy there. He was the last guy to leave. You'd actually have to say, hey, Mike, kill the lights when you leave, because he was so dedicated to the business. And Mike, you'd say you want to. When I say, so let's just say we were doing a 7:30 show, he'd show up at like 2:00 in the afternoon. He'd almost be like waiting for the ring crew truck to show up to the building. He'd come in, go into the locker room, put on his workout gear. He'd have the wheel. He'd do his calisthenics. He'd be the first match of the night and go back to training again. And then once the last match was over, that's when he would take his shower. And everybody's like, he's a jobber. But if everybody dedicated themselves to the business the way he did, That
Okay.
you put the
That's
business
thing.
as you
You
know it.
said it right there.
Yes, he did it there.
It wasn't a paycheck for him. It was the business. The
Yes.
way you and I talk, and I want everybody to understand, when me and Gerard talk about this, and when we talk outside of this, and even when I have my conversation with Jacob, when we talk about wrestling, we look at it as the business because we have respect for something that we love. And I don't think people have that for it anymore. And I'll go so far as to say there are wrestlers that don't have that kind of love for this. This is part of my soul. This is something I've watched since I was a child that I've gotten so enamored with that I speak highly of it, that it hurts me when it's doing bad, that it bothers me. So again, that's why we have us three here together, because we take this shit seriously. Yes, we are fucking marks at the end of the day. And I acknowledge that 100% because I am a mark for something I love. And for anybody to sit here and say, "Oh, it's just for the money," no, the people that do this business, the business, for as long as they do, like an Iron Mike Sharp, that cared about it, like a Ric Flair, like people that wanted to hold on to that take it so seriously, is because it's changed their life in some way, and I can acknowledge that. You don't have that anymore. Everybody just
and a lot of it is just like just the different levels of passion that people have nowadays, because a lot of it is just a lot of people like getting into NXT nowadays are just college athletes who don't even know like what wrestling is. You know, a lot of that.
A wrist lock from a wristwatch. Who said it?
Yeah, and it's just like
who did say that?
Jim Cornette. They don't know a wrist lock from a wristwatch.
I should have known that. I'm
like,
sorry. I got distracted by his burger towels and his bitching about Wendy's.
Yeah, that's just like a lot of people like who are getting signed nowadays don't even know what WWE or what wrestling is, and a lot of it is just a lot of people or a lot of people in the business don't really know the business of doing business. Oh, sorry, shit. The business of doing.
We just saw Jacob's balls. I think we just.
No, it's all good. It's all good. No, premium. No, but it's like a lot of it is just a lot of people nowadays. There's a lot of wrestlers who go into wrestling for the clout of it, you know, and like, oh, I'm a wrestler and I'm an influencer. It's like I saw a statement the other day of Gain, you know, of Gay Kane, and it's like an
indie guy. Gay Kane.
You haven't seen Gay Kane?
No.
Oh, it's great. You know, I'll send you it. But it's just like
please do. I want to see this.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's a guy who dresses up like in a rainbow cane outfit, and it's spelled.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's in a rainbow cane.
Showing
outfit.
Yourself here. Of all the things he's mentioned, you want to see the Gay Cane outfit.
I didn't know what the fuck it was, Gerard. I brought up Blue Cane before.
Yeah, no, it's. I think this is in the same realm as Blue Cane. Yeah, no. So this guy is but a lot of it nowadays is like wrestling's in a weird position where it's like. It's popular. There's a boom going on, but then there's not at the same time. It's like for mainstream, really, and like, you know, mainstream. It's not really that big, but like when you talk to people about, there's a lot of wrestling memes nowadays. You know what I'm saying?
Well, when you come that first week in January, okay, when you see what the worldwide rating is, because remember, Netflix. So if you guys watch. Netflix came out with their ratings. The Mr. McMahon thing was number 4. Okay. The amount of hours people spent watching Mr. McMahon. It was beaten by the Menendez brothers thing. So people cared more about murder.
That was very interesting. I'm not going to get into it here, but that was very fucking shocking.
Now, I lived through it, so you know. But my thing about it is when WWE goes to Netflix and you can have the whole world watching your program at the same time. Because no matter where you're going to live, their show is going to be live. What's it going to do for the business? If it does up teen numbers through the roof for the business, because now everybody can watch it at the same time live, it helps the business. It helps the business totally.
Do you think that AEW going on Max is going to help them?
No, because put it this way. Put this way.
Going to help them.
You can put lipstick on a pig, but at the end of the day, it's still a pig. And right now, AEW is a pig. Okay? They got to do something to get out of being the pig. You know, when the sad part is you have your third tier promotion doing almost better, and they don't even have a television deal. Most of them, you know, they're almost doing better with attendance than the people who are trying to be second. Or as Tony Khan says, he's the best promotion in the world just because David Metzler tells him he's the best promotion in the world.
That's not talking about Dave Metzler. He's a sack of shit. I don't want to fuck that guy.
Okay, so then that's what I'm saying is where when they do that, and now you go back to USA, now you got your third product is on CW, which everybody can watch for free now. You're going to see a change, I think, for the better in the whole business because now you're going to be so much more mainstream because Netflix is more mainstream now than cable television. More people watch Netflix now than they have.
It was a brilliant move on WWE's part to accept that deal because you're right. I watch more Netflix and YouTube than I do anything else. So I mean, it's just like it's not gonna. But I do want to go back to something we were talking about wrestlers not taking the business seriously, and the perfect example of that is someone we talked about earlier, and that is Bill Goldberg. He saw this as a money grab. In my opinion, I felt like he looked at it. When a guy says that it was okay for David Arquette to win the world fucking heavyweight title, there's a problem. I'm sorry. The guy, like, I don't think he has respect for the business. I don't. I think it was money for him, and it got him rich.
He's never going to use that. You better use Bret Hart too.
He's never been in
Bret Hart didn't want to do the job for Shawn Michaels.
No, I think that Bret Hart didn't want to do the Shawn Michaels deal because he was pissed and felt disrespected. And I can get that. Do I think it's right? Do I agree with it? No, but I understand it. When Shawn tells you, I would not do the same for you. After everything y'all have been through, and whether you like him or not, the motherfucker brought up Sunny Days, and you tried to... It's no longer a fucking gimmick there when you're bringing up my fucking marriage and you're accusing me of shit. I told you before.
The guys who go into business for themselves on that ring, I don't give a crap who the promoter is. I don't give a shit if that guy's the world champion. If I could take the belt off that guy that night, that belt is gone from him that night.
But he didn't because Shawn was good at kissing ass. Let's just be honest. And they all admit it. Shawn back then was good at kissing ass.
The only reason why he got away with it, because he didn't want him running out the door to be with his buddies. That happens today. Fuck you. Go to AEW. Yeah. Because right now WWE is laughing because AEW, you can go sign Ricochet. You can put him in a match with
Ospreay.
Will Ospreay and fuck it up. Because that's what they did. They screwed up the finish.
Terrible.
They screwed up the finish. So basically what WWE is saying right now is go ahead, take our guys. Go ahead. We know you're going to screw it up. Within a year, they're going to be looking at unless you gave them this so much money that they ain't going to know what to do with it because, hey, I don't give a shit how you book me. You're going to work me 1 day a week, maybe, because after 3 weeks, you don't know what to do with me. You don't know where to send me. Okay? And, wait a minute. But if it's our EVPs, I get out there getting their shine, I'm going to lose mine. AEW might have talks right now to adding a third hour to Dynamite. For what? So people can suffer through so you can suffer through a third hour?
I understand you have a hate boner for AEW, but what I was talking about had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with people who do not have respect for the business they're in. When you fire a guy like Lord Steven Regal, who you told to go out there and give this motherfucker a competitive match, you fire his ass, even though he's talented as fuck. He's probably one of the few guys that I'll say he's in the same realm as Rowdy Piper, a guy that should have had the big strap on him and never got it for whatever reason, whether it was drug issues at one point or fucking whatever. He should have gotten the big belt. He never got the big belt. It is what it is. But WCW was known for wasting talent like Steve Austin. They didn't know what they had in Steve Austin. William Regal, perfect example. WWE was fucked up William Regal with the man's man gimmick. Eddie Guerrero, Chris Jericho, Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko, Perry Saturn, all these guys that they could have done something big with. Hell, even Shane Douglas for a little while there.
But here's the thing, Dan. Eric Bischoff didn't fire Hulk Hogan and then promote Buck Bagwell, in a prominent spot. You know what I'm saying? It's like like AEW is just like the amount, like when Punk when he fired Punk, that's the nail. It's one of the nails in the end of this company.
I agree with that, and I think this is the problem I have with that. Okay, look, you're gonna hear me say negative things about AEW right now. Happy fucking birthday to Gerard and Jacob. I'm gonna say negative things about AEW. They fired the wrong guy. And the reason I say that is the Young Bucks had no business going in for the first incident, right? The first incident, the brawl out incident. The Young Bucks, knowing that man was pissed off, had no fucking reason to go over there and get in his locker room because they knew he was pissed off. Hangman Page had no business going into a business for himself and talking about workers' rights in a promo they already discussed before it went and happened. What the fuck are you doing defending Colt Cabana when you don't know the history between them? Colt Cabana could have told you whatever the fuck you wanted. Again, this is me as a fan. Colt, I don't know the whole fucking story. I don't know what the fuck happened. It is what it is. But Colt Cabana had no business running his mouth to someone like Hangman Page and getting him to fight his battles for him. Colt Cabana was never a fucking top draw. So whatever fucking happened to him, fuck him. Don't give a fuck. CM Punk had every right.
CM Punk should have been fired the first time. Fired the first time. He should have been given a second chance. Fired.
Why?
I've said it before, man.
They went into his locker room and they instigated that shit. Now, did it need to go into violence? No. But if you look, there's got to be a point where you have to let it go. Gerard, if I have,
I'm talking about. Never mind the locker room stuff. Look at the crap he talked at the interview. I'm talking about the stuff he said at the interview. You got the owner of your company,
Gerard, I agree with
checks.
That I agree.
Gerard,
I agree.
Let me say this. I agree with Gerard in that because if you watch that interview, like at any time Tony tries to talk, CM Punk shuts him down, and like
okay, and that's fine.
But here's the thing.
Allowed him to be at that interview that night.
You got to look at it though as a boss, though. If I'm
that's what I'm saying. My beef is with Tony Khan, who allowed Punk to be there.
Exactly, but if I'm sitting there, and CM Punk's going off and saying, well, I'm trying to run a business, and it's not Tony Khan's position. I mean, I'd be sitting there like right out of the press conference, being like, well, who do you work for? Like, sorry,
Tony.
I would say this press conference is over right now. Okay, and this man
let's go
right
deal
here,
about it. Yeah,
this man right here is suspended right now, and this ain't a freaking work. I'm suspending him right now, and you know what? He can take me to court. He's suspended. This order to be done, and I want to walk out.
Again, you know how volatile the situation is, right? As a owner of a company, do you even let that man go out and talk?
But the fight happened after the interview.
No, I'm talking about the fight. After the fight. I'm talking before the fight. I'm sorry. I'm talking before the fight. Do you even let that motherfucker come on and do a press conference with you?
Think about it.
I wouldn't have let him do the interview, but also like during the interview while he was spouting out, I would have done what Gerard said or something like that. The effect of, hey, like, let's cut this interview short. Let's go in the back right now. We're going to settle this. Hey, see you later on Dynamite.
He's it shouldn't have even gotten to his own fucking shadow. He won't do that shit.
Okay. Let me put it to you like this. In 5 years of AEW, okay, 5 years of AEW, they've always claimed, we're the other promotion. But more shit has come out from their back locker room than we've ever heard.
I agree. And that is the problem I have. That is the biggest problem. The second, okay.
TNA never
happened to the first one. Him, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, to get into the fucking brawl, fucking Ace Steel, all that bullshit happens, whatever. Okay. Let's say we find a way to get past that. The second incident had no reason to happen. And I get mad at Tony Schiavone because Tony Schiavone went up to Punk and he admitted this and said, hey, I need you to help me talk to this kid. He's bitching about fucking using real glass.
That kid shouldn't have been bitching to Tony Schiavone in the first place.
Exactly. Like, it should have never fucking, because you should have had a boss that came in there and said, this is my company. We're not using real glass. What the fuck is wrong with you? I'm not paying your doctor bills if you want to use real fucking glass, you dumb shit. And you're not big enough to tell me how to run my company. If you want to go back to the fucking indies, Jungle Boy, jungle your ass on out.
Well,
go back.
You should have never had to step in.
Granted, go back to your dad in the 90210. That's all you got to do. Go back and see dad in 90210. That's all you got to do.
Well, it's just like, who the fuck is he to even tell someone like Tony Schiavone that he's not even going to do anything? That'd be like me, like refereeing, like me and Gerard are working and I'm trying to be a referee.
Well, no, because
hey, I'm going to do this.
How much? Where is Tony Schiavone's? Like, is he like? Put it this way: is he a Pat Patterson to Tony Khan? Is he Tony Khan's
I don't know. That's what I don't know about that. Their backstage setup. What I'm upset about is, why are you going to CM Punk, who you know has already had issues with these people, and say
because Tony Khan chicken shit to do it himself.
CM Punk was in charge of Collision at the time.
But that's what I'm saying. Your boss is so chicken shit that he has to get a wrestler to deal with it. I have a problem with that. That's why I'm hoping that you put someone like a Shane who's not going to take this shit. You give him
Steven Regal. They had Regal.
Regal wasn't doing that. Regal was just there to help with anybody who wanted some help.
They could have.
He wasn't there to get back.
Yeah, you just said it. You just said it.
In ring.
You just said it though.
Tony wants to be the guy. He wants to be the guy booking his act
without any help.
Yes,
Tony Khan don't want help because
he wants to be the name of the show.
Marked Tony Khan from MJF's very mouth. He's the biggest freaking mark in the business.
Yes, he's
a billionaire with some money. He's a billionaire with some money, so I'm going to run my company my way. Regardless, I'm going to give you every major match you want to see. No storyline.
He's the kid in the corner playing with his toys, and he doesn't want anyone to play with his toys.
And what kills me about it is that he has the talent that could actually compete with WWE.
Well,
he really has excellent talent.
Dan, like what it kind of sucks because like it all falls apart because, you know, Tony should be listening to people, but everyone that he's had was at Bad Blood last night. Arn Anderson was there. Tully Blanchard was there.
I told my wife when I watched War Games last year, I told my wife it's over. And she said, what? CM Punk walked out and he fucking, you hear that da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and I was like, it's over. You lost Cody because you wanted to make him a gatekeeper. Oh, great. He gets to come through the middle fucking entrance. Whoop-de-fucking-do. You had him already lose to Jericho. You built up this other young guy and MJF who did an amazing job carrying the company when he was a heel. You've ruined that because now MJF he's not believable anymore. Again, you said something last week. It's fucking, you know what? I'm going to be politically correct. It's dumb. It's dumb that MJF is showing off a fucking tattoo that says AEW. Oh, I bet on myself. No, you look like a fucking idiot. Now, I did enjoy the comedy of him and fucking Adam Cole. I enjoyed the fuck out of that. But the person that should have come out a heel in that should have been MJF. He's a better fucking heel.
And Adam Cole shouldn't have dove off the stage right onto his fucking ankle and broke it himself. I mean, I don't think.
I'm sorry, but Adam Cole is not Adam Cole Bebe to me, and I like Adam Cole 100. I love Chugs. What I'm saying is Adam Cole is Adam the Glass Man Bebe. He's Glass Man. I don't get how. I don't see the hype in Adam Cole. I really don't. I'll say it right now. I think he's an excellent wrestler. He's undersized. If you ask me, I see someone like a Roderick Strong or even a fucking Kyle O'Reilly is better than him. I'm sorry.
I mean, Roderick Strong is smaller than Adam Cole, but like
they have messed up Wardlow.
Like it.
Dan, how have they messed up Wardlow? They messed up Wardlow.
Where is Wardlow? Where is he?
How do you relegate someone like Brian Cage to a second tier triple?
I have no sympathy for Brian Cage because he re-signed multiple times, so I have no sympathy for that dude. That dude, he could have bet on himself, but I think I don't think he would pass any tests in WWE. Wink, wink. But Brian Cage, I have no sympathy for him, because he re-signed. Same thing like when a lot of people were talking shit about Dolph Ziggler all those years, like when Dolph should just leave, and he re-signed.
Where was he gonna go?
Well, and it's just like, Dolph had nothing at the time, and it's like Dolph still has nothing now. I mean, he's the TNA champion, but are we hearing
every Friday on Busted Open though? So we went from doing a gig to just now you can hear him on radio.
Yeah. It's like
when y'all get on to me for liking AEW, it's not AEW I like. There are guys there that I think would do such an amazing job. I will always go back to the team.
If you had a proper booker, maybe so.
Yes, and I'm hoping, and I can have that hope. That's the one thing as wrestling fans we have learned in the last at least 20 years from the fucking Cena era to now that motherfucker, we can have hope. I watched John Cena and his very own decade of destruction, which was fucking miserable for some of us. I know, Jacob. Look, you're a C Nation fan for life. You're in the chain gang.
Hey, man. During that time, around, I was not a Cena fan. I was a big CM Punk fan. Still, that's when I became a CM Punk fan. Was during that time, and I was 12 years old at the time. So,
listen,
I'll still go to bat for that orange Cena shirt, though. Even though, like, I hate orange as a color, I still love that.
I will put it to you like this: the only reason why I've gotten to know John, his dad, because they live probably about 15 miles from my house. So he grew up about 15 miles from my house. So I've talked to him personally. I've talked to the dad and stuff like that. Personally, I could probably sit there and have a conversation with the man.
Oh no, I've watched interviews with him, and I don't blame him. Not at all. If you offer me $10 million to go over there with a different color hat every fucking week, I'm gonna go up there. I'm gonna slide Marique with my gym shorts.
What was it? Fruity Pebbles? Fruity Pebbles.
I'm gonna go because I don't knock him for that. I knocked Vince McMahon for that, for keeping a character around far longer than it should have been.
Let me ask you this though, okay? We all know the reason why. It was money. He put it this way: take away what he's done for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, which, John, much props to you. Okay, much props. Take away that. How much money did the merchandise alone? He wanted to go heel a couple of times, but when you see those dollar signs, when you see those kids, when you see what he's doing for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, you're like, we can't let you do that because of what you got over here.
It's sad because there was realistically like no way that he could. I kind of knew it when I was like 12 years old and they had the Rise Above Hate T-shirts come out, and like I was like, oh, I'm like, he's never going to be a bad guy, because that's when I was 12 years old. I kind of smartened up to the business. Really,
this is the problem. They did not build enough stars.
They had no one.
And the problem was, look, when Daniel Bryan came around and he was outselling John, when CM Punk was around and he was outselling John, those were times when you could have pulled the trigger and made him a heel. The perfect example right now, that OTM shirt that Roman has, fucking
OTC.
selling.
OTC
is selling like fucking hotcakes. Did you see the fucking crowd last night?
Yes.
You know what's unfortunate about that is that like they'll probably put the belt back on Roman.
And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that.
You guys know, I would go so far to say, if the shit that happened with Chris Benoit doesn't happen, you don't see John Cena as John Cena. They needed a guy. They needed a guy to fill that spot because of what happened with Benoit. They wanted to do it. Hey, how can we get away with this? How can we get away from this? They came out. Hey, John. Listen, we all heard the story. If he wasn't caught rapping in the back of the truck, so you can blame Stephanie for that one. If he wasn't caught rapping, we don't see John Cena anymore.
I like the Doctor of Thugonomics. I'm not denying that. I'm fine with that. My problem is loyal, hustle, respect. Yay.
Listen.
Hey, man.
Hey, intensity, integrity, and intelligence.
But Kurt Angle was a genuine badass. You know what? And even Kurt Angle, when he went from being a heel back to being a face in ECW, when he was the Wrestling Machine, had the ECW mouthpiece. He was a perfect example. The first match he had against fucking Randy Orton, and he was behind him slapping the back of his head. That was a bad motherfucker. I'm sorry, John lost his look. The match he got against Big Show at WrestleMania 20. Excellent fucking match. For what it was, he got over on that. All the way to when he got to 21, beats John Bradshaw Layfield. I literally got kicked out of the house. That was the night I got kicked out of the house as a kid. But
look at like this. At the WrestleMania, not the WrestleMania, at the Royal Rumble, when he comes out at number 30, that crowd right there gave him 5 more years. That crowd at that Royal Rumble gave him 5 years. When he came out at number 30 and that roof blew off the building, okay, that let him know right then and there that he was still the top guy.
You know what's great about that, though, is that, like, when they cheer him, and then once they get into the match, they start booing him.
Yeah, because it was a shock.
Kurt Angle had the same gimmick. Think about it. Him and Kurt Angle have the same gimmick reversed. Look at the way that people are cheer. They cheer for Kurt Angle when he's in the ring wrestling, but when his music hits, the "you suck" chants are through the roof. John Cena comes out halfway through a match, no matter who he's wrestling. Let's go, Cena. Cena sucks. Let's go, Cena. Yep. You hear it almost every match.
And again, I'll never forget. I was at a fucking show in Dallas. It was I want to say it was a Raw. You know what? It was the Raw where the Undertaker and fucking Triple H had their stare down before they were going to have their match at WrestleMania the first time.
Okay.
And I was sitting there. I think Steve Austin had come out or something had happened. But we're flipping birds in the air, and I have a fucking family next to me going, "Don't do that. My kid's here." And as it was that late in the game that I realized the wrestling I've grown up with has gone out the fucking door.
Well, let me tell you a story. When I went to
I blame John Cena for that.
Well, I went to Raw, the season premiere. It was the season premiere of Monday Night Raw in had to have been 2019, because this was when Raw changed to that skateboard set.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about with the ramp?
Yep.
They kind of looked like, okay. So it was the first episode for that. It was when Bobby Lashley and Lana did that fucking thing. Like, I remember. So it was a whole big segment. Now, so it was during when Randy Orton came out. I was up in like basically nosebleed section, the cheapest tickets. And I was sitting up there, and it was when Randy Orton came out, and three seats down from me, there's this chick there, and she's just showing her tits, just out in the open, just in front of everyone. And like there was people that were like, "We have children here," and it was a whole thing. Like in the
second, was like, "Do it again, do it again."
No, of course I was. No, I was loving it. I was like, what? Holy shit! And then like it is a thing. Like, you know, if you go back and watch like that Trish Stratus segment, like when he's just like, "Yeah, now you gotta take your bra off," you know, and like you see the people in the front row, they're all cheering and shit. It's like, dude.
I'll put you like this. So we're gonna go on that route. Let's talk about two other guys, Ravishing Rick Rude and the Honky Tonk Man. The Honky Tonk Man coming out. Thank you very much, you beautiful artists, especially you up there in the cheap seats. People would laugh at that without really knowing it was a rib. He's digging at these people because, hey, you cheap prick, you couldn't afford to sit down here. You can only sit up there. Ravishing Rick Rude coming out, calling everybody a bunch of sweat hogs. You know, let me dance. You know, picking a woman out of the thing. Does that go by today?
No, of course not.
Yeah, of course not. So, you know, you see some of these guys, a couple of these guys will come out with these bodies and stuff like that today. That, okay, you might have a girl go, ooh, ah. But those guys back then, they made a living off of pissing off the crowd. And most of the time, they really didn't have to get on the mic. But Rick Rude, now mind you, he was managed by Bobby Heenan, one of the few guys who would actually grab the mic and talk himself, because nothing Bobby could say was going to be worse than what Rick was going to say about, let me take, you know, all you fat, out of shape, overweight, and whatever town they were in, he, you know, put the crowd down. And they always found some, whatever you would call that town's attractive woman. Okay? And to look at some of those things that they did back in those days, and to look at them now, like I said, with the DiBiase calling people and kiss my stinky, sweaty feet, and he would do it after the match. Who was the Indian guy who tried to replicate that? Oh,
Jinder Mahal.
Jinder Mahal. No, was it Jinder Mahal? Yeah. Wait. No. It was not Jinder. It was somebody else.
Tiger Ali.
Tiger Ali Singh.
Yeah.
Right? Look at the difference. You had a white male, supposed to be, you got the nice hair and stuff like that. It goes over, people hate him. Jinder Mahal does it. I mean, Tiger Ali Singh does it. It's not received as much as well. If it's done today, with the thing with DiBiase, does it go over as well? Do people get pissed about it? Or does he become a babyface for doing it because now everybody wants the money?
Well, it's just like, remember the time they tried Muhammad Hassan?
Listen, you know what's funny about that? I was actually reading something about that to where everybody blames him. How do you blame a guy with that? his gimmick was to be a Muslim, and just
He's
so
Italian.
He's
He's
Hawaiian.
a fucking Italian.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's
Listen,
Italian.
Chief Jay was supposed to be a Wahoo too, but Chief Jay was an Italian also.
Yep.
Now, what I'm saying is, how do you blame the guy for doing his gimmick well? If you've done it that well, what they should have done is found a way to repackage him, not just say, hey, kid, you're fired because something happened in the world that we can't use you anymore. It wasn't his fault that thing happened in London.
But they kept Daivari.
Right.
Well, something like similar happened with like Rusev around that. Like when Rusev was around, when Rusev came out, he was completely like Russian. Like he wasn't from Bulgaria, like Russian. And then like something happened, like because every time they would do a Rusev segment, they would
Putin.
Like,
that's what happened. It was Putin. It was a Putin situation.
Hey guys,
they would be like, "Oh, our glorious Vladimir Putin." I remember
the Sergeant Slaughter gimmick. The Sergeant Slaughter gimmick when he turned heel for Iraq. Think about this.
America has too much freedom.
Listen, he was getting death threats. Robert couldn't go anywhere. He couldn't go anywhere. He basically had to live in a box, and that's why right after WrestleMania 7, they killed it because I'm sorry, they didn't kill it after WrestleMania 7 because they went to SummerSlam. After SummerSlam, they realized we can't keep doing this anymore.
Yeah, but in the same breath with that though, they tried to use that as an excuse why they couldn't sell out WrestleMania that year.
Hey, that gave my favorite version of the Winged Eagle belt ever, the purple version of it, that purple strap. It's like they don't
put it
sell
like this. They wanted WrestleMania 7 in the Los Angeles Coliseum. The United States government would not protect the LA Coliseum, so they had to put it into the LA Sports Arena. They didn't want to go to the LA Sports Arena. They wanted the Coliseum. And the other thing was, remember that year, Whitney Houston sang the national anthem at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They were going to have and try and get her to do WrestleMania only if it was outside. Once they found out it wasn't going to be outside, they couldn't get her either. But they wanted to do 90,000, have the same main event, but because the United States government wouldn't allow it. Now, I'll tell you this right now. I was in the LA Sports Arena for that. You couldn't break wind in that building. I don't know how somebody's saying that didn't sell it out. I was in there. There was not an empty.
Yeah, I thought it was like what 15,000 compared to the 90,000 they wanted the book.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, the reason why they couldn't get the bigger building because the United States government wouldn't protect the airspace above the building. So because you're during a war, you get 90,000 people in a building. I'm going to drop her. They were scared they were going to get a rocket dropped on them. What's the better?
So is that what they told you, or that was really happening? Because you've had people come out and say, no, they only had sold up to, at that point, they sold about 10,000 tickets. The building can hold about, with everything in it, about 12 to 15. And
well, remember at the time though, that's the building where the Clippers played at. So nobody really knew what the attendance was for the Clippers because nobody ever showed up for the Clippers games anyway. But I'm saying is, when we were there, when I was there, we were all told that same story that he tried to get the LA Sports Arena, the LA Coliseum, but the government wouldn't. No matter how much money Vince wanted to throw it, they would not do it. They wouldn't. They don't. We're not protect. We can't protect it. So he's like, no, I'll just go into the sports arena. And at that time, right there, and people, could the attendance have been affected because of that thing? To where I don't want to go sit in an arena because I don't know what could happen. Now, to make up for that, to me, 9/11, what he did 2 days after 9/11, he doesn't get enough credit for. The reason why he doesn't get enough credit for that because of what he did with the Chris Benoit and the
I don't, like I said, I don't like Vince. I'm never going to like Vince, but I agree with that. He tried to keep us
normal.
They try to keep the world normal because the way you lose to terrorism is you allow it to make you change your life, and that was a great move. It goes back, and not everybody liked Bush. But when Bush stayed in that room and continued reading to those children, that was the best thing he could have done. A lot of people don't like to give me shit about feeling that way, but I think that was the best move he could have made. That being said, we're coming up to that 2-hour mark. Why does it fly by so fucking fast? Fuck both of y'all for having a good time. But we did have some things I do want to talk about.
Yeah, let's talk about 9/11 some more.
What I do want to talk about is you two are very hypercritical of AEW. So my homework to y'all is next week, you book it. How do you fix AEW? Yeah, y'all wanted a challenge. Next week, come back, same time, 6:30 or 6:00 Central, probably 6:30 with Gerard.
Okay, all right. So is this in the backstage sense or like in the product sense?
Any way you feel that they should fix it. No, look, I'll even give you a little help here. You can bring in 3 different talents from WWE, whether it be manager, wrestler, or someone from backstage.
I don't need to.
No. We'll save it for next week. How do you save AEW?
That's I don't think I need to bring in anyone from WWE, but I bring in some people.
I would put it like this, okay? To end my night, guys, there was one situation this week that I want to bring up. It's not football. I mean, it's not wrestling. But I think because we've talked about this other situation, I think we need just a small mention of this, and I'm hoping it comes out to be true.
Me too.
I am hoping, for everybody watching, I am hoping that this incident with Garth Brooks is not true. I am hoping that him getting out in front of the story before the story hits helps him out a lot for what this man has done for the music industry.
And I'll say I'm with you on that because for me here in Texas, it has always been George Strait and then Garth Brooks. And to hear that anything like that really just bugs the shit out of me. Look, with the P. Diddy stuff coming out with everything else, and I know we usually focus on wrestling, but for me, it's a big fucking deal in Texas. And I want to know that I hope he gets vindicated. If it comes out that he's not and he's a piece of shit, look, I'll be right there to be like, it's a damn shame. But
on behalf of a lot of people, I don't really give a shit about country music. So
put it this way, I'm not even talking about. Notice, I'm not talking about the music part of it.
No, I'm
what that guy has done, not just for the music industry, what he's done as
Garth Brooks is great.
Yeah, that put it this way, what he's done, like I said, as a humanitarian that he's done and stuff like that, the way he's gone about for what 30, for almost 35 years now. For almost 35 years, he's been at or near the top of the music industry, and he is the #1 selling music person of all time. Okay. Nobody beats him. Nobody got him beat on anything. He's the #1 selling artist of all time.
Don't you ever talk about that without talking about the king, George Strait.
Oh, well, listen, okay. Who does he credit? He gives a lot of his credit to George Strait. Damn straight, I should say. But I'm just saying, I'd be remiss in not talking about this, seeing that we have talked about the Janelle Grant, Vince McMahon thing, to where we have another situation like this, to where because he's been out in front of it, and the expression that he says of, I feel like I have a loaded gun waved at my head, that goes to tell you something about how this man is. And I'm just going to hope that everything about the situation it's a blackmail screw job that he has put it out there to be. If it's not that way, I will gladly say, hey, was wrong in this. She has convincing evidence. But I just want to end it on that, to where I think that we should give him the benefit of the doubt just because of how he went about handling it. And he actually put the story out before she did.
Only time will tell if we can get that squared away, and hopefully, look. I hate to see someone as there's so many routes you can go with that, but I'm hoping the best. That being said, I'm Dan. That's the kid, Jacob McGovern. That is our inside man, Gerard Millette, and we'll catch you next week. Peace.
Peace.